'Tis the season to be jolly. It's also the season to be aware of your surroundings because there are many suspecting, or rather unsuspecting, criminals lurking around at every corner you might try and go through. 6 months ago, the South African Banking Risk Information Center, or SABRIC, released its crime statistics for 2019, which showed a drop in physical banking crimes across multiple categories. But in contrast to this decline, however, business burglaries and robberies have seen sharp annual increases. But obviously, that was 2019, and with 2020, we've seen the coronavirus pandemic, lockdown, etc., and so many challenges that we've had to face as a country. So, how have these challenges impacted on our lives? Have these challenges increased the risks of people becoming victims of such crimes? And with the festive season upon us, obviously there is more crimes on the rise, especially such crimes. Joining me on the line is Mike Borges, a specialist investigator into serious violent and economic crimes, to talk more about this. Good morning, Mike. Thank you for joining me.
Morning, Mariam. Thanks for the opportunity.
It's a pleasure. All right, so Mike, when we talk about ATM crimes, what exactly are we talking about?
Well, the crimes, first of all, I must say that every year the crime has escalated between October and December with about 300%. That's about on any and all crimes you can mention. So especially now with the second wave of COVID, and as what we've seen, certain other crimes that has escalated during the first wave in the 6 months of lockdown, where there were so many knocks and scams because people were sitting at home and they were constantly on the platforms and they got extorted. They got involved with sextortion, extortion. It is horrendous how we saw crime escalate in that time as well. And then obviously the financial pressure that there was very little income. People sought ways to even use the pandemic as to commit crime. So there was a lot of bogus contracts that went out on masks and sanitizers, etc. I think the worst one we had was a red cool drink that was sold as a betadine or something like that. And people lost thousands and thousands, if not millions of rands in South Africa, which tried to do business from home and got involved with, not properly checking up who they're doing business with these knocks and scams. But coming now to the festive season, there's a second wave, so there's a lot of rules and regulations in place. I, number one, want to say that the country should adhere to them. I'm quite sure that the government has thoroughly investigated this, and it's for our own sake, and we can save lives by sticking to the rules and regulations. With that said, when you drive, don't drink, because drinking and driving is also one of the biggest problems in South Africa. And then thirdly, wherever you go, you need to make sure that where you're living from, everything is intact. Your house alarm, your dogs has been taken care of. You need to know who's staying behind, who's looking after your house. Proper communications with your local authorities, police stations, security guards, etc., etc. You need to make a list. And it should actually have been there already, because we're very close to Christmas. But a lot of people has just recently left, and they can still make arrangements via phone. But you need to make sure that everything is on par at home, because many people return home to an empty house. And many people can't afford proper alarm systems, and when they come back, even if just for a short period, even just for Christmas or just New Year, they can come back and everything could be stolen. Crime works in South Africa because it pays, and crime begets crime. If one man commits a crime and he sees he gets away with it, his buddy will join and they will do the same. The group will become bigger, but also the crime will become bigger. I always say if a man can steal a pen at the office, the next thing he will steal is a cell phone. And it will escalate to eventually joining a gang even and stealing bigger and robbing banks, hijacking, etc., etc. This is also an extremely violent country. So farmers and those who have businesses that is in operation at this time must also be extremely careful. Farm murders has declined a bit, but there has now recently there's been a spate of farm murders here and there, and that's also alarming and a concern. Basically, the main reason for crime being committed in South Africa is because they can and can get away with it. Secondly, the opportunity is there because there's no proper authorities in place. There's no visual policing. There is no proper crime prevention units. There's no specialized units. The criminal clearly knows by now, in the last years already, that the police is not feared, neither respected, is not willing and able, and cannot protect and serve. And with that in mind, taking in consideration that the criminal of today is not the unintelligent guy that's just wandering around out there. He's an intelligent guy. He makes informed decisions, and he uses the cell phone. This is the newest and the biggest DNA is the cell phone, but this is being used for committing crime. There's not a criminal in South Africa that does not use the cell phone. So they video everything, they audio everything, they take snapshots of everything, and they do all their extortions, and they do all their threats and intimidations. No matter what crime is committed in this country, it's done by cell phones. So you need to be extremely careful if you're a law-abiding citizen that your phone is very safe, and so much so that if you were to lose your phone, you should only cry about the amount of the phone that it cost, the amount that the phone cost you. But if you cry bigger tears because there's so much information on it, and many a times personal information, that information can be used to extort you, to sextort you. A lot of people walk around with naked pictures of each other, especially in a relationship, videos. We see it a lot. We do thousands of sextortion and blackmailing cases. It's horrific what people have on their phone. So ask yourself the question, if you're in an accident and somebody picks up your phone, or you're on the beach and well, whatever beach is open, but wherever you find yourself in the mall, if you lose your phone, if you shit yourself because of the information on it, then you've got too much information on your phone that can put you in a compromising position. So it's doom and gloom presently, and I never have good news. I've been so many on interviews with you guys, and I always warn and always tell you how bad it is. But hopefully we make a difference, and thanks for always giving, and all the other media outlets giving us a chance in our projects to warn people about what they should and should not do. But okay, if there's any other questions, you can ask me. I'm ready to answer.
Yes, we need to take a quick break, but we will continue when we return.
Thanks.
And you are tuned into the Miriam Makunda Show.
Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.
Fabric Direct, now open at 224 Brickfield Road, Overport, Durban, offering you a variety of dress fabrics, curtaining, upholstery, wallpaper, and decor. Fabric Direct, quality, price, and a range that speaks for itself. 224 Brickfield Road, Overport, Durban. Fabric Direct, definitely worth a visit.
They say breakfast is the most important meal of the day, yet many children go to school hungry because of poverty. Penny Appeal's Breakfast Club aim to get a warm, hearty meal to underprivileged children so they can spend the day prospering in their schoolwork. Help feed a needy learner by visiting our website on www.pennyappeal.org.za or call 031 1100 573 to find out how you can donate. Penny Appeal. Small change, big difference.
Freedom Stationery supply Marlin and Marlin Kids pens to me and my school friends. They supply just about everything we need to help us get a better education, from books to files to rulers.
Ek is op die radio vir so 20 minute.
Accessory. Any accessory we need. Freedom Stationery. Education for the nation. What does accessory mean?
Connect and stay ahead with Salam Media. This is Salam Media, coming to you live from South Africa.
Welcome back. You are listening to the Mariam Makwanda Show on Salam Media, and we're also live on Facebook. If you have any comments, questions, queries, or suggestions, please leave them in the comments section. We are talking about safety tips when using the ATMs, or rather safety tips anytime during the festive season. Before the break, Mike was talking about the types of scams and crimes that you could become victim to if you are not aware. And one thing that he mentioned that stood out was the fact that we store a lot of information on our devices. And that is a very scary thought, because somebody can pick up your device and use your device against you. Your device will no longer be working for you, but will be working against you. So let's be very, very vigilant, very careful of how we use our devices and what we store on them as well. Mike, thank you for staying on the line. One of the things that many of us have fallen victim to is ATM scams or ATM frauds, whereby, we've had situations whereby our card was sort of swallowed by the ATM, and we've had to insert our PIN, and just to realize that our cards had been stolen from there. I know that this happened to me, this happened to one of my friends, this happened to a colleague. A lot of people come out and say that, well, this happened to me too. So what can we do when we are faced with a situation like that, whereby, there's a well-dressed person standing next to us, or has used the ATM before us, driving a nice car, and basically they don't look like the typical criminal that we envision. They look like somebody who's there, ready and willing to help you out in your dire need. So what can we do when we are faced with such a situation?
Well, number one, the people in South Africa specifically, but those who are listening worldwide as well, must always take in consideration that the devil will never come in a black cloak with the name devil on his front head. He will always come extremely good looking and well dressed, as you've said. Secondly, I would suggest, and I've always suggested, that people should act paranoid all the time, especially when they have finances that they're dealing with, or dealing with finances. It's better to count to 10. It's better to make informed decisions. It's better to vet everything that you're involved with or what you're going to do. And that includes if you visit an ATM. You can trust no one, but you shouldn't go alone, especially when you're old and you do not really know the present state of this country, the dangers of economic crimes in this country, and the knocks and scams. That's why we always send out these knocks and scams projects, in order to inform people. So now, just going on holiday, I would suggest that people take very little cash with, but enough to carry them for a couple of days. And it must also be hidden in a proper, safe place. And there should be a designated person in the family that deals with the money. And you should stay or steer away, because of the COVID and because of the possibility of being mugged, or even, as you have mentioned very clearly, being scammed at an ATM, to avoid that. So it's no problem if you take your credit cards with you and pay everything by credit card. It's better. But even there in a restaurant and wherever you are, you need to make sure that the device is in front of you, that the person is not looking over your shoulder. You need to show from the word go that you are, I call it the good paranoid. You can trust no one, and if somebody is hurt by that, it's one of those things. You cannot trust anyone. There are too many, and as I've said, crime begets crime, and there are too many that are so used to getting away with crime and committing crime, and that's sometimes their only real income. So yeah, ATM bombings has also escalated a bit, but like last year, the same thing. The cash in transit's the same. So you must not avoid, in my opinion, as much as possible, any form of traveling. I hate to say this, but try and stay these days, if you're not going anywhere, and make it the most at home. Build up once again the family ties. Make sure that you're safe. Make sure that everything pertaining your surroundings is safe, your security and everything is placed. But get the family together and spend proper family time. Driving around at this time, you know, a drunk guy can just ram into your car. There's so many things that can go wrong. And it sounds very bad what I'm saying here, but this is what happens. And all of these things that I'm mentioning here is things that escalates, especially in December. People really do get to drinking too much, and especially around New Year, we will see quite a lot of deaths, and we'll see quite a lot of road accidents. The problem with drinking is you might be initially saying drinking and driving or just drinking is dangerous, but once you add one or two, you let everything down, you let everything go, and you become a lion, and you think you can do everything, say anything, go anywhere, and do what you want and feel. It really changes people. I have yet to find a person that can handle his drink. Any person that drinks changes. He changes. And that's what's dangerous. And then, yeah, once again, back to the banks, make sure that you don't overspend. Make sure that you don't come back January and you've got nothing for the kids and for the school and for January and February month. Don't overspend. Don't take expensive jewelry. Don't take expensive clothes. There's a lot of people that gets robbed at the holiday places. We get a lot of complaints about that. And don't take expensive stuff wherever you go, whether it's a mall or the beach. There's a lot of beach bums. There's a lot of beach thieves. And there's a lot of people just walking around taking advantage, especially if you're from a different place, like from Pretoria going to Durban. You're in Target. These criminals identify you very quickly. Be very careful when you get out of your car that your car is not jammed. In other words, you put your alarm on and the jammer on the other side does not reopens the car. They do it at the very same time. They see you doing this and they on the other side with the unlocker, call it an unlocker remote, unlock the car, and then when you're gone, they take whatever is in. So drive with as little as possible stuff that is visible in the car. Don't put expensive stuff anywhere in the car. Keep it at your flat and in a safe place. Make use of your safe that you have there and make sure that the security is also up to standard there, and make sure that you inform the guards there and the management there. All these things are stuff that takes maybe an extra 30 minutes of your day, but it can save you coming back to your flat, everything stolen. It can save you coming back from the beach, your car stolen. It can save you going into the sea and coming back and your duffel bag is stolen. So don't take expensive stuff at all. Take the oldest clothes, take the Bangkok jewelry. Don't try and impress people, and be very safe, be very careful. Don't go to nightclubs, stay away from nightclubs. I mean, at that one nightclub, that rave, I mean, think for yourself, 1,100 kids went, 1,000 test positive. What does that say to you? It's dangerous. I'm not even talking about the possibility of date rapes, the possibility of all kinds of other crimes that could be committed there, like drugs, drug trafficking, missing persons, etc., etc. There's so much crimes that could be and is mostly committed at night that it is really not safe for youngsters, and especially when you're a minor. And the kids so much want to hang out and so much want to break out and do the wildest things, but they do not make informed decisions. You're out of your depth. You're in a new place. You don't know this nightclub. You're from Pretoria. You're in Durban. I'm using Durban as an example. You're in a nightclub. You don't know the bouncers. You don't know the traffickers there. You don't know the drug dealers. You know nothing. You're just in a small group. You're a couple of girls, and you think that will save you. It's just a one drop or two in your drink, and you spiked. It happens a lot. Or you drive home that night, and a drunkard hits you from the side, and one or two of you are dead. So these things need to be taken in consideration. Have your home party at a secure, safe place where there's an elder by. And that includes families as well, because many a times the parents just lose it. These are things that can save your life. And don't tell me that I'm over paranoid or I'm a doom prophet, because we see every year what happens to people. And we can tell you firsthand that this happens to people and that you could be the very next one. So you need to be safe. You need to make informed decisions. You need to be completely and totally paranoid and aware of your surroundings. There need to be control in the family. There need to be a leader. There need to be very strict rules, regulations, and discipline. You can still enjoy yourself.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Mike, back to the issue about banks, ATMs, and cards. What about the tapping options? You know, because with this whole COVID thing, you know, some of us are a bit more germophobic than others, and we prefer to tap instead of punch in the numbers digitally. So, should we remove the tapping options and rather opt to punch in the numbers and then sanitize later on?
I think this is something that must still be thoroughly investigated, and then an informed decision needs to be made, because I think we're in for a rough ride in the future. There could be other forms of COVID coming out. There's already new strains. So there would be a lot of things that would change. But in the meantime, any form of, and I'm actually, and I've always been a bit upset with banks and cell phone companies that they aren't the ones that is doing proper homework as to make it safe and people's money being safe. We daily get people that are hacked. We daily get people that are robbed at ATMs. We daily get people that money has been in their account and then the next day it's gone. We daily get businesses calling us and saying they have paid an invoice and it was sidetracked and it went into another account, but when they informed the bank said they can do nothing, it's already out. So one of the main things that I have a big axe to grind with the banks is that they so easily take all the money, and especially, remember, the criminals use banks as a money laundering system. To them, it's money laundering. They steal from you. It comes through a just quickly created bank account, which isn't properly vetted, and then the very next day they get it out. Sometimes they've got insiders assisting them, and I can carry on and on and on. But the banks is actually responsible to do a proper, thorough, in-depth investigation pertaining ATMs, pertaining cash in transit, and pertaining all our monies. We are using the banks, and they are very enticing and very much begging you to come with this bank, stay with this bank, and do everything through this bank. But when the shit hits the fan and when things go wrong, they blame you and say, but you should have investigated it. You should have been aware. You should have been paranoid. You should have done that. I think the banks should go out of the way, like me, informing about crime. They should specifically, in their field, go out of the way and train the public thoroughly. I mean, where have you ever heard of a guy opening a bank account that has to sit down a bit and just listen to a proper lesson? Where have you ever heard that a bank manager calls in all his staff and teach them about cybercrime? Not even the staff knows what cybercrime is. I've never heard of any banks that does a real effort to inform and teach not only their clients but their workers to the highest level of the serious economic crimes that is being committed worldwide. And let me tell you, we lose billions to the criminals. Billions. This is not very little. So pertaining the ATMs, I suggest that people avoid ATMs as much as possible. If you need to draw money, go inside the bank. Rather stand in a queue. Rather wait a bit. get your money and make sure you have for a couple of days. But then also, never go alone. If you're going to draw 10,000 Rand, I can tell you now, if there's an insider in the bank, they warn the guy outside. You are leaving with 10K. They give a description of you. That's how they do it. And they will either grab you outside the bank or they will follow your car, and then where you stop, they'll grab you. They actually even watch you and see where you do put that 10 grand. And if you put it in your handbag, that's the only thing they will grab. So crime many a times around banks works with insiders, informers, and they know what's going on there.
Wow, hey, it's a scary thought in the world that we're living in, but also for those who would like to withdraw a small amounts of cash, they can do it in a supermarket. Some supermarkets, some retail supermarkets allow you the option to withdraw money from there as a cashback system. So while you're buying your groceries, you can also just do a cashback and get some money there. Mike, thank you so much for your time and for sharing the tips with us. I know it will definitely go a long way, and not just now, but throughout our lives. And hopefully people will take heed of your advice by keeping safe during this festive season.
Yes, Mariam, thanks once again. I've been speaking to you guys for quite some time, so I'll send you, if you guys can just send me again your email details, I'll send you the projects, and then you can, on your sites, you can leave the projects. It's all there in written form. It would be good to read it to the family members. It would be good as a family to read it 3, 4, 5 times, put it on the fridge, and adhere to those rules and regulations. And with that, may God bless you guys richly in health, wealth, safety, prosperity, discernment, and a brilliant future, and also for 2021.
Amen. Thank you so much, and same to you, Mike. Have a wonderful festive season.
Thanks, Mariam. Be safe.
Bye-bye. That was Mike Borges, a specialist investigator for serious, violent, and economic crimes, giving us some tips on how to be safe during this festive season. You know, violent crimes, economic crimes are on the rise, and we can do so much to avoid being victims of such crimes, like first of all, being aware of our surroundings, and like Mike said, be extra paranoid. If somebody comes up to you and offers assistance to whatever, just shush them away. In fact, leave the situation right there. Don't even bother going to the ATM again. And find another ATM that you can withdraw money from, or go to ShopRite, Checkers, Pick and Pay, Spar, I think, and go do a cash withdrawal inside the shop. Just buy a chocolate and then ask for cash back. So if you don't know how the cash back works, that's how you can do it. And you'll be much safer that way, because you're not going to be withdrawing large amounts of money, and also you're not going to be putting yourself at risk while at the ATM. I saw a video of a guy who was withdrawing money from an ATM. So he was using different cards, but it was at the same ATM. So, and he kept on putting money in different pockets. The next thing, there were 2 guys pointing a gun at him, asking him to remove all the money that he had just put in his pockets. And that was a scary thought. And I'm like, from that day on, I do not want to go to an ATM. I'm rather going to use money, do my cash withdrawal from a shopping center, a retail store, I mean, or I'd rather go inside the bank and withdraw those small amounts of money. But yeah, it's a scary place that we're living in. But unfortunately, there is just so much that we can do. And one of them is being vigilant and being aware of our surroundings. You can leave your comments in the comment section, or you can send them to us on WhatsApp. The number is 0617 660 355. And do stay with us. We will be right back.